Live from Studio 3K in Rockefeller Center, you're watching Sports Final on NBC for New York. Here's your host, Bruce Beck.
What a start for Rutgers University football. The Scarlet Knights are 3-0 for the first time since 2012. There is enthusiasm and positivity on the banks of the old Raritan. The Big Ten schedule starts this week in Ann Arbor against Michigan. And joining me tonight from the Hale Center, the epicenter of Rutgers football, is head coach Greg Schiano. Greg, thanks for joining us. What's the atmosphere like these days on campus and in New Jersey when people are talking RU football?
Well, I think everybody's excited. We've gotten off to a good start here, and the kids are getting better every day, and that's the most important thing. But on campus, there's a buzz, and in our state and over in New York, things are getting exciting.
Has the emphasis been on coaching all three phases so far: offense, defense, special teams? And it really goes back to the start of camp in the summer.
Well, it always is, Bruce. I mean, you have to play complementary football. It's just too hard to win the schedule that we play unless you're really complementing each other. And the kicking game ties the offense to the defense. So it's so critical. So we work hard at all three phases and have really good coaches that are leading all three phases.
What about your players? What kind of reaction are you getting? What kind of follow through are you getting? How much do they embrace the program?
Well, I love our guys. They've totally bought in. We've been here for about 20 months now, and we have a total buy-in, and we have some new guys that have joined us, so almost over 50 new guys that have joined us, and they're learning from the older guys. So it's really unique. Even though we're still fairly new back here at Rutgers, I think we have a really good situation where the young guys and the older guys have meshed nicely.
Greg, your quarterback Noah Vedral managed the game well the first 2 weeks. And yesterday against the Blue Hens, he was 21 for 25 for 323 yards and 2 touchdowns. What does it mean to have him making plays for you? Well,
like you said, Noah's done a good job all season. I think it materialized more yesterday with some of the big plays that he had. I mean, he took the top off a couple times to Beau and to some other guys, to Sanders on the one deep ball. And I think when you start to do that, I call them flyover yards. You fly right over a bunch of problems that you never have to address. No offsides, no holding penalties, all those good things. So it was great to see some big plays finally land.
And what about his leadership? Do you appreciate what he's doing in that regard?
Well, he's special. He's a guy who wants to get into coaching when his playing days are over. So he's really like having a coach on the field. And he's played in 3 different systems. He played down at UCF, then he played at Nebraska. And when he transferred in here, you could tell that he had a real deep knowledge of offensive football. And when he got together with Coach Gleason, those guys have really meshed nicely.
Well, I think you mentioned him already, but his favorite receiver is Beau Melton, who's on the watch list for the Bolitnikoff Award. He had a touchdown yesterday among his 5 grabs for 121 yards. Greg, I think he's more dangerous after he catches the football. Do you agree?
He really is very good with the ball in his hand. He can make you miss. He's strong enough to break a tackle, and electrically fast once he gets going. So we have to keep finding ways to get the ball into Beau's hands. And Coach Gleason and his staff, they'll be sure to do that.
He was good last year. Is he even better this year in your mind?
He has. He's really improved. He's worked at the skill of being a receiver. He's always been a gifted guy, physically talented, but he's really worked, along with Tyquan Underwood, really worked hard at his craft to become a skilled wide receiver. And you can't forget, he's very dangerous in the kicking game as a returner. We don't use him every time, but when we do, he's a big play waiting to happen.
I want to talk about one of those return men, Aaron Crookshank. He can do it all. He's very versatile, but he's electrifying on returns. Yesterday had a 62-yard punt return to pay dirt. Every time he touches it, Greg, do you think maybe he can go?
You really do, Bruce. He's that kind of electric player. Like when he touches the ball, you hold your breath. And, he really made it. We had some some good blocking on his return for the touchdown, but he made some incredible cuts to daylight, and then he put the afterburners on, and he can really fly. So he's not only done a great job as a returner since the day he walked in the door, but he's gotten better and better. Again, working with Coach Underwood, he's gotten better and better at receiver play and becoming a more complete player with both the receiver play and the return skills.
When you talk defense, you have to start with Olakunle Fatai. He has a heck of a motor. Does he set the tone in your mind with his sacks and his tackles for loss?
He does, and he really sets the tone with his work ethic. His preparation for each and every game is legendary around here. This guy loves football. He's all about it, and he gets ready for each game as if it's going to be his last. It's a great example for our whole team, younger players, older players alike. And we need him to continue on that path. He's been a very productive player since the day we've arrived, and we count on him a great deal.
And Julius Turner is a guy who I think is the rock of the defense, and a couple of sacks yesterday. What about the relentless pursuit of this defensive group, Greg?
Well, you talk about Julius. He's a guy, he's an undersized tilt nose guard who just causes havoc. And this year we've worked him into more third down packages. And he's not your prototypical third down rusher, but boy, does he find ways to get to the quarterback. So very productive. And between he and 03, those guys really are leading our defense.
And this defense has been, I think, very much in pursuit of quarterbacks throughout the season. All right, Greg, let's get serious here. The Big Ten slate begins in earnest on Saturday. You go to Ann Arbor to take on Michigan. Then it's Ohio State. Then it's Michigan State. Then it's Northwestern in consecutive games. I don't mean to ruin your evening, Coach, but what about this schedule?
Well, that's part of being in the Big Ten, Bruce. That's what we love. And right now we can only prepare for Michigan, so that's what we're doing. We're upstairs working on it right now, and it's an exciting challenge. Michigan has got a great football team.
What do you think in general of this challenge that is in front of you? Do you embrace it, Coach?
Oh, we love it. They're a really well-coached, very talented football team who's back to playing the way that they're used to, they're accustomed to. And we need to be able to go in there and do our thing. That's what we have to know what they do so we can play against them, but we have to make sure that we take care of our stuff. If we do that, we'll go out to Ann Arbor and we'll just be fine.
What's your final message to Rutgers Nation, Greg?
Stick with us. This thing's it's going like this. It's not going to be linear. It won't go straight that way, but I'll tell you what, these players are just giving everything they have for this program and for the state of New Jersey and the state of Rutgers. So stick with us. We need you. We can't do it without you, fans. And thank you so far for everything you've done.
And thank you, Coach, for joining us tonight. And good luck this weekend against the Wolverines.
Thanks, Bruce.
That's Rutgers head coach Greg Schiano, who is back on the banks for a second tour of duty and making things happen for the Scarlet Knights and their fans. The New Jersey native is on his way to becoming the winningest coach in the history of the school. We're back with more in a moment.